You can be in a groove or you can be out of the groove. But when you're on Groovey.TV, you're definitely in the groove.
Hey, this is Groovey. I'm here with the legendary Walter Day at the Rocky Mountain Pinball Showdown here in Lone Tree, Colorado. How the heck are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, and I'm here with the legendary Groovey of Groovey.TV here at the Rocky Mountain Pinball Showdown in Lone Tree, Colorado.
It's so good to have you back in town, man. What's going on? What are you all up to? I know you got a new movie coming out. Got to tell me about that first.
Well, first of all, starting at the top, we're here at the Rocky Mountain Pinball Showdown. Me and Billy Mitchell, who you'll get a chance to talk to soon on the show. And we've never been to this show before. This is the first time I've ever been to this event. And I have to tell you, I love the hotel. This is a very cool hotel. Just something about the layout, the design, and all. It's just very nice, and it's a very nice mixture of games and people. So I'm very impressed, and I hope I get to come to this event, many more years to come. So it's a lot of fun to be here. And for those people who don't know about the Rocky Mountain Pinball Showdown, be aware that it happens just about every June here in the Denver, Colorado area. So I'm honored to be.
It's awesome. I mean, there's hundreds of pinballs, hundreds of video games. I mean, they even have retro gaming in there with an old Mac 2 or something. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, it's an all-purpose kind of experience, and that's why they say experience the ultimate pinball and gamer festival. So I'm very impressed. So I'm really glad to be here.
Awesome, man. I'm stoked to have you here.
Yep, we are all stoked.
Now tell me about this movie. I want to see it. What's it about?
Well, there is a new movie coming out. So I've been in, I think, close to a dozen movies, and this will probably be one of the funnest movies. It's called Man vs. Snake. The story begins at Twin Galaxies, like 32 years ago, when there became a rivalry between Tim McVeigh, one of our local Ottumwa players in Ottumwa, Iowa, and some out-of-town people like Tom Asaki from Montana, playing the game called Nibbler, which most people have no inkling of what that game is, but it's a game from the early 80s arcade game, which shows a snake running around a maze eating dots, and as it eats the dots, its tail grows longer and longer and longer, and it has to strategically avoid not running into its own tail as it grows longer while continuing to eat the dots. So there became a rivalry between these two main players, Tom Asaki and Tim McVeigh, to be the first person to score 1 billion points on an arcade video game, because Nibbler was the first one to have the scoring mechanisms, the scoring counter, show 9 digits, so they could see 999990 turn over to 0, and they would be able to verify that they had reached 1 billion points. So finally, Tim McVeigh did it, and somehow it became a big deal. It became a big story in the world media. Lots of video game magazines and newspapers did stories on it. And the mayor of Ottumwa, Iowa, where this happened, at Twin Galaxies' old location back in the Golden Age, the mayor declared a Tim McVeigh Day. So he became not only the first, but I think historically the only player to ever have a civic day named in his honor for a video game accomplishment. So fast forward to 30-some years later, almost 30 years later, and a couple film editors who worked on the movie Battlestar Galactica.
Oh my God.
They were the film editors for Battlestar Galactica. They somehow read about his accomplishment, and they thought, we'd like to do a little feature on it, a little feature thing on what he did and where he is now. But when they found him, the story kept growing more and more and more until it became this monumental 90-minute long feature documentary that comes out 2 weeks from today. So we're at the Rocky Mountain Pinball Showdown, which is now June 10th. On June 24th, 14 days from now, Man vs. Snake will be available through all the digital delivery systems that are online, plus people begin to order it on DVD and Blu-ray and stuff like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And they spent a lot of time and effort and money, and they have that huge creative intelligence that they developed with film editing skill sets and also storytelling skill sets, so that they're able to make it into a very wonderful film. And it's probably going to be a hit on a par with like The King of Kong. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing how audiences react. I wish we could show it here today while we're in Denver, but it's not quite legally available yet. So, but not for 2 more weeks.
That is so cool. I can't wait. Did you have a lot of fun being involved with this project?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been an interesting life's experience to be involved in yet another film that me and Billy Mitchell are in a major way. But we're not the stars. We're just like secondary kind of people involved. The main stars are a few people like Dwayne Richard, Tim McVeigh, and Enrico Zanetti and Thomas Saki. They're the main ones who play the actual game and compete against each other. And me and Billy are just in the background kind of making comments about what this meant and how this fits into the history and what they're doing and, stuff like that. Making color commentary.
That is so cool, man. So cool. So, to switch gears a little bit, I think people are a little confused on what the status of Twin Galaxies is right now. Where's everything at?
Well, 2 years ago, a new group, actually a new person named Jace Hall. I think he's always been Jace Hall, so I can't say he's a new person named Jace Hall. But Jace Hall, who's like a Hollywood producer and a computer expert from Hollywood, he wanted to take over Twin Galaxies. So we did a purchase and whatever agreement, and he became the leader of Twin Galaxies. And I was able to retire into doing other things. Like people know, I do the trading cards, which I'll address in a moment. But I've gone on towards doing other things while he has put his resources and his incredibly clear creative intelligence behind developing Twin Galaxies and turning it into the amazing thing we always knew it could be. It always was pretty amazing, but now it's turned into an amazing phenomena that Guinness World Records considers it the official adjudicator for contests based on and high scores, world records based on high scores, okay? Right. As opposed to maybe like head-to-head stuff for League of Legends and stuff like that. Okay. But all the high-score games. And it's interesting that of all the games that have ever been created, I think still over 90% of the games ever created, I think are still high-score based. So therefore, Twin Galaxies really has its work cut out for it to log and verify and adjudicate all the world records and crown all the champions on high-score based games. So Twin Galaxies is doing well and is alive and well, based in Los Angeles, has a tremendous website called twingalaxies.com, and they're beginning to host more and more contests and activities, so people should go to Twin Galaxies and get involved. And if someone out there watching and listening to this thinks that they're the world record holder or could be the world record holder on one of tens of thousands of games, they can submit their world record play to Twin Galaxies, and Twin Galaxies will verify the scores and adjudicate on them, and then crown them the world record holder. And then that score could be, theoretically, picked up by Guinness and run by Guinness, because Twin Galaxies was the co-originator of the Guinness World Records Gamers Edition that comes out every year. Twin Galaxies was very responsible for that coming into existence.
That is so cool, man. So cool. And speaking of world's records, I've said this privately to you, but I want to say it publicly on camera. Like, you were the inspiration for me and my team getting our world's record for most interviews in a 24-hour period. I can't thank you enough for being an empowering and positive force in everyone's life that you meet. It's amazing.
Well, that's a wonderful thought, that I empowered and helped give direction to the creativity you already had, the energy you already had, and the intelligence you already had. If I can go in there and give some direction that leads to something wonderful like this, I am so honored and flattered and tickled pink, because you got to realize we are all a big family, and other people empower me and give me wisdom and direction and give me inspiration to go and do other things that I may not otherwise have done. So it all is something, it's a big trade-off we all do for each other. And that's the best part of humanity, and that's the best part of being in this part of this incredible gaming community, and that we are truly a family where we try and share this life experience and being involved in gaming. At the same time, we inspire each other to be better people, not just better gamers, but better people and more understanding people with more heart and more desire to support and uplift each other. So if I help and support and uplift you in some way, that's a very, very satisfying realization for me, to hear and everything.
Oh, you're a great friend. You truly are. Now let's go on to the trading cards. What's going on with that?
Let's see if I have one in my pocket or not. I may not, but anyway, no, I don't have any but I have them in here. Okay. So everybody knows what a baseball card is. Everybody knows what a football card is. I started publishing trading cards that specifically focus on the video game and pinball culture. I decided that the cards shouldn't be just about high scores. They should be actually about the historical events, about the important milestones and legendary technological breakthroughs, about the games, about the people, about all the people who have contributed to the global video game and pinball culture and community, and honor them, because the video game and pinball community, or at least the history of that, is not just about the famous names like Ralph Baer and Nolan Bushnell. Actually, it's almost like a pyramid, where some of the famous names might be at the peak of the tip of the pyramid, but they're supported by this vast base, this growing base, this base of millions upon millions of people who all contributed to the growth and nourishment of the culture. And it's because of their involvement that the culture was able to grow to become what it is right now, because there's over 1 billion gamers in the world right now, and the industry is worth over $100 billion now. And as far as a sport, they're now beginning to realize it's going to be multi-billion dollars in valuation before too long. And all these people are like individual colorful threads that when all those threads are woven together, they make a beautiful big tapestry that has incredible picture on it. And that's what all these people have done over the last 40 years. They've contributed, they've been involved, they've been a part of the birth of the video game and pinball age. And so the trading cards I've made have been honoring all sorts of people. And the funnest part of it is when I find someone important to honor who otherwise their contribution may never have been recognized, nor would their participation ever have been remembered by the history books. But the trading cards will be there, remembering them for all times. Because the trading cards, I've now designed about 2,500 trading cards, and over 1,500 of them have already been printed or already distributed in countries around the world. And from my own perspective, it's my art. In other words, you know how a photographer will, like you'll go to the Museum of Art, maybe or in New York City, and you'll see a retrospect that's being put on by some photographer who spent 50 years with his camera going around and photographing people in Times Square all over the place. And you'll see that his photographs captured the human condition across the span of 50 years. He's using his individual photos as works of art and historical relics that captured the spirit of the times, the people of the times, and the historical conditions as they evolved through time, for instance, in New York City. So I like to consider the trading cards my camera, and I'm out there as a historian, capturing people, capturing historical events, capturing all sorts of different phenomenal things, so that when the collection's all brought together, from the perspective of someone in the future, you're going to say, wow, this was an interesting project, because it shows us so much of what it was like to be a member of that generation that was the first gamers. Because maybe we haven't thought about it yet, but we were the first gamers. Absolutely. And from the perspective of people 100 years from now, we're all going to be viewed as the people who brought cyberspace and electronic gaming to life. We were the first ones to embrace it, and we were the first ones to turn it into a culture, into a community, and to a professional esport.
Absolutely.
That was a big answer, wasn't it?
But it was spot on, man. And you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. And then, again, thank you, because I believe Groovey.TV is in 710.
Yeah, 710. Groovey.TV. And for those of you who are out there with your collection now, go to card 710 and you'll see Wonder Boy here on card number 710. And soon to be another card, that's right, Night Mutilator. Night Mutilator.
Yes. All right, man. So you're always busy. You're always working. What's coming up next for you?
Well, for me personally, I love doing the trading cards. And I'm going to continue maybe doing that for the rest of my life, but more casually than I've done, because it's just too much. I've done 2,500 designs, so I'll probably do so many per year, you know. But I'm going to focus on, for me, I still want to write my science fiction novels, because I just got a head full of concepts that I'm trying to organize and get the story out. It's hard to write a story that actually works.
Oh, yeah.
You can throw ideas out there, but make it actually work as a genuine science fiction novel is a lot of work. And maybe it's more intelligence than I have, but I'm not giving up. I'm going to go out there.
You're way smarter than these books. You'll make it happen.
Go out there and really try to do it and actually hammer out the science fiction stories that go through my head. And music. Those of you who have seen The King of Kong and Chasing Ghosts know that I have a lot of musical ideas and aspirations, and I'm going to see those come to life. So those are my main goals now in life. If I ever had a bucket list, that's what the bucket list has on it. Doing my music and doing my science fiction novels. So that's what's next for me.
You know what? I'm going to challenge you right now. I'm going to challenge you. Next time we meet, might be next year, might be 2 years, I want to see you play some songs on a stage.
Okay, I accept the challenge, and I'll do my best to try and come up with something finished. I mean, I sit there writing stuff and singing stuff in a whatever, and I just have to finish it. I've just been trying to get closure on Twin Galaxies, because it was so important to me to do Twin Galaxies. I wanted to make sure it turned out right. So I've been here probably maybe longer than I should have been, but I have so many friends and it's been such a wonderful experience that it's been worth every minute of it.
Oh yeah, I just think that.
And I'm glad that I got to tell that whole story on Groovey.TV.
Thank you so much for your time, man. Cheers.